Gather round and welcome back to the Week 9 edition of the Baker's Dozen Poll. That's right, folks, the most accurate poll in college football. We're going to get into it here for the Week 9. It is a crazy week number 8, and we saw 4 top 10 teams lose. We saw 9 top 25 teams lose. So there's going to be some shakeup here in the poll as we get into it. But we're going to go ahead and get started here with the number 1 team in the country again. That's right. I had them out for the last few weeks, but I'm putting them right back up at number 1. And that is going to be the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's right, folks. Ohio State is playing absolutely out of their mind. Julian Sayin is just absolutely bonkers with the way he's completing 80% of his passes. This wide receiving unit is just absolutely tremendous. The running back situation can use some work, but they're hitting the backs out of the backfield with some screen passes, so I'm not so concerned about it. His defense of Matt Patricia's is just absolutely amazing. It's a masterpiece week after week after week. I told you that after Texas, that this was going to be a magical season for the defense with, Patricia he's the best in the country. No question about it. Right now, as we're looking at it, it's just an incredible, incredible defense, considering they only returned 3 starters in 2025, and this defense is just on top of its game. So the Ohio State Buckeyes are the number 1 team in the country, and until they lose, I don't know that I expect to drop them, but who knows? We'll see how it goes here week by week. Number 2, we are going to look at the Indiana Hoosiers. That's right, folks. Indiana, hard to believe. I've been saying this name all season long, but Indiana is just playing tremendous football right now. We're going to see they got a game against UCLA. That shouldn't be a very difficult game with UCLA coming in there to Bloomington, but you never know. They got a much improved team there in the last 3 weeks at UCLA, but are they improved enough to go on the road at Indiana and win? I'm not putting any money on that. I promise you that. The number 3 team in the country here, I'm going with Texas A&M still. I've heard the thoughts about Alabama and this and that. Truth of the matter is, Alabama got their tails whooped by Florida State, who's a bad football team. Let's just get it there. It's not a good football team in Florida State, and Alabama did not win that football game, but they played a lot better recently. But I'm putting Texas A&M here because Marcel Reed is just absolutely incredible. He is making all the right plays, and yes, that game against Arkansas was closer than expected by many, but it was expected by me to be closer just because Arkansas is a much improved team since Bobby Petrino got back in control of that team. So Texas A&M will be the number 3 team this week in the Baker's Dozen poll. They got a tough game against LSU this week. LSU, man, they're just tailing. I've been telling you, I haven't been really that enamored with LSU, so we'll see if Texas A&M can win that football game this week and how that works out. The number 4 team in the country is the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that's right, they're playing incredibly good football right now. Ty Simpson is just looking like, well, I'd say he's looking like the best quarterback in the country, but I just told you the best quarterback in the country is Julian Sayin right now. You can't top what he's doing at this moment through 8 weeks, but Ty Simpson's a close second. We got some other quarterbacks that are right there with them, but I'm definitely putting Alabama here at number 4. This defense is getting better by the week. They got injuries still. They'll be coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama made a jump this week after we see what happens with the Texas A&M and LSU game and the Indiana and UCLA game. One of those 2 teams could get upset this week. We'll find out. But I like Alabama here at number 4. All right, number 5. This is kind of tricky. I got 2 teams here, 5 and 6. They might be able to be moved around, switched around, however you want to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and put the Oregon Ducks here at number 5. I think the Oregon Ducks offense is super explosive. They took no mercy on Rutgers last week and just absolutely buried them. Not that Rutgers is a great football team, but they were going 3,000 miles across the country, and they just put an absolute beat down on Rutgers. And Dante Moore is just an incredibly good quarterback. And Dak Moore is the phenom sensation that I told you in the preseason was going to be a phenom sensation, even as a Heisman Trophy candidate, and the kid is not disappointing. So I'm going to go ahead and stick Oregon there. I'm putting Georgia at number 6. Look, Georgia is getting better and better and better. I still got some question marks at their defense. So I'm looking at this like if I put Georgia on the field with Texas A&M, I'm not so sure Georgia's defense can stop Marcel Reed. I don't know that they can do that, but we're going to find out here over the next few weeks. So I'm going to put Georgia here at number 6. And like I said, they're getting better and better and better. And remember, this is all to be building up to the college football playoff, and Georgia is doing exactly what Georgia needs to do, getting better each week. Gunnar Stockton is playing out of his mind last week with the 5 touchdowns. It's just a really impressive team. But what was even more impressive is how they took control of that game in the fourth quarter and held Ole Miss up until that last drive. Ole Miss had 1 yard offense in the fourth quarter. So Georgia's defense definitely hammered down in that fourth quarter last week. Although they did give up a lot of points before that, I still think this is a great Georgia team that's being developed. Let's call it that. I don't think it's a great Georgia team that we've seen in the past right now, but it is definitely being developed into a great team. And in this era of college football, that is what you want to see. You want to see teams that are getting better each week, fixing their deficiencies, and moving forward. And that, by far, is the Georgia Bulldogs doing all of that stuff. All right. Number 7, we're going to stay in the state of Georgia, and I'm going to put Georgia Tech here at number 7. Look, Haynes King might be the best, most fun, toughest kid in college football to watch. I mean, the kid is he's just tough, man. They went on the road to Duke, which was going to be a tough place to play, and they really, it wasn't really much of a game. Georgia Tech took control, and they just hammered down and won that football game. This is building up to be quite the matchup at the end of the season against Georgia and Atlanta. It's going to be real fun to see how this team develops, but I think Georgia Tech right now is the best team in the ACC after Miami's loss, which was shocking to say the least, there against Louisville, although I did say funny things happen when Louisville plays on a Friday night. So Georgia Tech is going to earn that spot at number 7. Number 8, coming in here, this is a shocker. It is BYU. That's right, the Cougars. I'm going to put them at number 8. They just continue to keep on winning. They find ways to win. They're just tough. They're just tough. And I think BYU right now, although I don't think they're probably going to win the Big 12, they got a tough games coming up. I think at this point in the season, through 8 weeks, I think BYU should be the highest ranked Big 12 team. Although I'm still thinking that this is going to break down to a Texas Tech and Arizona State Big 12 championship game. I just feel like right now, BYU deserves the ranking at number 8. All right, let's move to number 9. And I've been hesitant to put this team in the top 10, and I'm not a giant Diego fan, but I got to eat a little bit of my words here, and we're going to put the Vanderbilt Commodores here at number 9. They played a really good game last weekend against LSU, and not that I think LSU was that great, but I thought LSU's defense was better than they looked last week. Now, I know that Weeks was out and da-da-da-da-da, but the truth of the matter is Vanderbilt came to play. They played hard. Diego, he won the game, and we got to give him some props here. So I'm going to put Vanderbilt at number 9. Number 10, I'm going to put Ole Miss here. Now, Ole Miss had a challenging game going into Georgia. They had control of that game for a large portion of it, but in the fourth quarter when it mattered, they couldn't get it done, and they got a fall. I had this team at number 5 last week, so I'm going to drop them down to number 10. I still think Ole Miss is a very competitive football team. We'll see this week if they can win this game coming up and where they're going to be after that. All right, number 11, I'm going with Texas Tech here, which really didn't move from last week here. Texas Tech went into Arizona State. They did not play well through basically, I don't know, 57 minutes of the game. But man, at the end of the game, they sure did a great job to get the lead in that football game with the backup quarterback. But at the end of the day, they couldn't stop Jordan Tyson when it mattered. And Jordan Tyson made catch after catch after catch in that fourth quarter on that last series for Arizona State to win the game. I'd love to put Arizona State up here in this spot, but they got 2 losses, although they're still my favorite team to win the Big 12. I think it's just so challenging to guard Jordan Tyson. He's quite frankly, he's unstoppable. I don't know what else to say. He's just an unstoppable receiver. But right this moment, Texas Tech. We already talked about Georgia Tech. Texas Tech is going to come in at 11. All right, number 12. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put Missouri here at number 12. Could I put Oklahoma here? Yeah, maybe. But I think that Missouri, yes, they lost that game to Alabama a couple weeks ago. They went into Auburn. I told you, in order to beat Auburn, you got to win ugly. And Missouri won ugly last week, no question about it. But they still won the football game on the road, and that's a tough place to play. I don't care if Auburn's good or not. It's still a challenging place to play. You have to win ugly, and they did do that. So I'm putting here Missouri at number 12. And to round it out, man, this was a tough pick. It could have came down to Miami. It could have came down to Louisville. It could have came down to Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Cincinnati. But I'm going to go with Virginia right here. Virginia, I'm going to go ahead and put here at number 13 as the highest ranked team out of the group I just said. I'm not sure if it's the right move or not, but I'm just going to do it for this week just to see how they look coming up. But I'm going to put Virginia at number 13. We'll see what happens next week. They could easily fall back out of this with a lackluster performance, even with the win, because we got some teams cooking something up right behind them that I think are going to get right back into this mix here. And we're going to start off with Oklahoma. Oklahoma went down to South Carolina. I thought Oklahoma would play a closer game than they did against South Carolina. And quite frankly, they just beat South Carolina pretty good. I think it was 26-9, something in that line. But Oklahoma's still got a really, really, really strong defense. John Mateer is getting healthier, although still didn't play a really great game. Played a little better than he played against Texas. But I think Oklahoma still has a long way to go. And we'll see. They got a really tough schedule coming up. I'm going to put Notre Dame in this group, Cincinnati in this group, Louisville in this group, and Miami in this group, along with Oklahoma. I think all of these teams are playing really well. Look, is Louisville explosive? No. But they didn't need to be to beat Miami. And Miami committed 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions by Carson Beck. And the funny thing is, I don't think Miami gave up a single score off of a turnover last week, and they still lost the football game. It's still a really solid football team. I expect to see them in the ACC championship at the end of the day. I think Louisville and Virginia will fall out here before the end of the year. So I'm still going to put Miami, but I just can't put them in the baker's dozen this week, coming off a loss at home in the fashion that they look like they played. But I will say this. Tony is one hell of a player there at Miami for a true freshman, Malachi Tony, and he is just absolutely incredible. I'm going to call him the freshman that Jeremiah Smith was last year. Malachi Tony is this year, so I really like where Miami's going to be going here, and I don't think Carson Beck's going to have another 4 interception performance the rest of the season, and really it was 5, but they gave a pass interference, which brought back one of them. So bottom line is, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Louisville, Miami are my 5 teams cooking something up, although no particular order there. You can put them however you want. All right, my group of 5, the little 6, right now, South Florida, man, they have to be in that mix. I also love Navy. You know, Navy is my pick to get to the playoffs. That's right. Navy's my pick to get to the playoffs. But at this moment, I got to give the ranking to South Florida. We're going to find out. South Florida and Memphis play. And then in November, Navy plays both Memphis and South Florida. So we're going to really find out how this American Conference breaks down. With the loss last week of UNLV to Boise State, I do not believe Boise State's a playoff team as it sits today. I think the American Conference is going to produce that team. So we're going to go ahead and put South Florida here, although I'm a big midshipman fan. And my boy here from Hilliard, Ohio, Blake Horvath, and the midshipman, I believe will be the playoff team from the Little Six. But right now we're going with South Florida. All right. There's the Baker's Dozen for week number 9. I told you this thing's going to shake up and shake out. By the end of the season, we'll probably have the real top 12 teams that are going to make the playoff. But right now we're going with this. But I really think, folks, it really boils down to Ohio State and Indiana look like two teams that are going to go undefeated to the Big Ten championship game. It looks to me that Alabama and Georgia are going to be the two teams that are going to play in the SEC championship game. I feel like Texas A&M may slip up a little bit here, but man, they're really, really good. I think that we're going to see a Georgia Tech in Miami ACC championship game, and I'm still a firm believer that Arizona State and Texas Tech will be the Big 12 championship game this year, and those teams are where we're at. Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Oklahoma are teams that could be fighting there to get to the SEC championship game, but I don't think they're going to be able to outdo Alabama or Georgia here to get to that spot, but we're going to find out. All right, remember, gather around in ALTT. We'll see you on Thursday for the Weekly Predictor Show. Can't wait for it.